Paper 2, December 2019, question number 18. Match the following: intelligence and ability tests with associated features. So these are the options. We gotta match them properly. So in order to do that, you need to know all about them. And we try to keep it simple and interesting. Alright. The Naglier Non-verbal Ability Test, the NNAT, is a non-verbal measure of general ability designed by Jack A. Naglier, published by Pearson Education. Like any non-verbal ability test, the NNAT is intended to assess cognitive ability independently of linguistic and cultural background, meaning it can assess cognitive ability of any kid regardless of his cultural and language background. These tests is administered to school children from kindergarten to 12th grade, and it can be administered by both individual level and from a group level. And these tests serve as a means to identify potentially gifted children for a placement in accelerated programs. Alright, the next one, the Torrance test of creative thinking. The Torrance test of creative thinking is a test of creativity. The Torrance test of creative thinking is created by Ellis Paul Torrance. That's easy to remember, right? Okay, the Torrance test of creative thinking, or otherwise called as TTZT, involves open-ended simple tests of divergent thinking and other problem-solving skills, and it is scored on 4 scales, namely fluency, flexibility, originality, and elaboration. The design of this test is simple and open-minded. For example, tell me, if I give you a chair, what all you can do with it? You can answer as much creatively as you want within time limit. Yeah, I remember what I answered when I was taking this test back in my university. Alright, my responses went like this. I can sit, I can use it to take things which is above me, I can throw it from the window, I can throw it on the person I hate, I can participate in a rolling chair race. You see, I get creative sometimes. Okay. Scoring was done based on meaning and usefulness and relevance and the originality of your answers. Alright, coming up, the Raven's Progressive Matrices. The Raven's Progressive Matrices is created by J.C. Raven. He created the Progressive Matrices test in 1938 to measure Spearman's G factor. You know, back in the days, this biometric test had only one objective: to evaluate officers of the US Navy. But it became famous and adapted in different settings like schools, hospitals, job interviews, etc. And it is administered as a non-verbal group test. You see, it is a time-saving one. It is typically a 60-item test. It also allows us to measure the abstract reasoning and fluid intelligence. And some people find Raven's matrices very interesting because it contains solving patterns, cute puzzles, which leads to making inferences. And of course, this test is not without its limitation. The creator of the test, John Raven, made it very clear that no one should use this test alone to measure intelligence. One should also consider other sources of information to make the test much more valid and reliable. Alright, that's enough for Raven's Progressive Matrices. Coming up, Wechsler's Adult Intelligence Scale. Now let's take a closer look into it. Wechsler's Adult Intelligence Scale, designed to measure intelligence and cognitive ability in adults and in older adolescents. The original Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale was published by David Wechsler. That's easy to remember, right? It is currently in its 4th edition, released in 2008 by Pearson, and it is most widely used as an IQ test for both adults and older adolescents in the whole world. Here is an important thing. On Weiss, Wechsler compared the scores of the test taker with others in his or her own general age group, meaning if you are 17, then you will fall under the age category of 15 to 20, and I will compare your scores only with your peers who are falling in the same age category. I don't compare your scores with 21 to 25 age group or 10 to 15 age group. Is that clear? Good. Okay. The average score is fixed at 100, and approximately 2/3 of all scores falling somewhere between 85 to 115. Test scores that fall between these two numbers are considered average, meaning a person with a quite normal average intelligence. And those whose scores fall in the tail section of normal distribution is considered deviants, meaning they are either genius or mentally retarded. Many other intelligence tests later decided to adopt Wechsler's method of standard deviation. Alright, the only downside of this test is the IQ scores are meaningful only when it is relative to other people. For example, let's say average IQ score of my whole class is 80, and if I got 120 as my IQ score, which doesn't actually mean I'm super genius. Technically, I'm only smarter than my whole class folks. Understood? Good. By knowing all this, let's match it up. Option A, Naglier Non-verbal Ability Test. You remember when I said these tests are administered to school children from kindergarten to 12th grade, right? So, suitable for children. Matched. Now, option C, Torrance test of creative thinking. Do you remember when I said it involves open-ended simple tests of divergent thinking and other problem-solving skills? Yeah, so open-ended tests matched. Now, option D, Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. And do you remember when I said the test scores in ways fall between 85 to 115 are considered average normal intelligence? And those whose scores fall in the tail section of normal distribution is considered deviance, thus provides deviation IQ, matched to. Now the remaining is option B, Raven's progressive matrices, and option 4, adult culture fat test. I gotta say, I don't know how they get along with each other, but it's a match, one way or the another, so I'm gonna leave it to you. If you find a connection, let me know in the comments section. I will look into it and make some corrections with your good name on it. Until then,